When performing the hip thrust, adjust the pad, roll it over your hips, bring your knees into 90 degrees, establish your elbow position on the bench, brace, and bring that weight up. From here, you're going to pretend as though a string is pulling those glutes directly up. You're keeping your gaze nice and fixed on the corner of the wall in front of you, and at the top of every rep, you're thinking about really squeezing those glutes to create that hip extension, and then lowering back down on the eccentric in a controlled manner. The muscles used in the hip thrust include the glute maximus, glute medius. We have the hamstring, so we have the semitendinosus, semimembranosus, and biceps femoris. And then we have the quad muscles consisting of the vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, and rectus femoris. Then we have some erector spinae excitation. Now this is based off of a systematic review that looked at excitation of muscles during the hip thrust. The first mistake we want to avoid with the hip thrust is being loose in the back. We want that back nice and tight. So as you can see, I do a couple variations here where I'm rounding in and folding. We want that rib cage down and neutral positioning. Another common mistake that you'll see folks make is throwing the head back. Fix your gaze, keep your head in a neutral/dynamic position, and avoid arching that neck when doing the thrust. The third common mistake you'll see folks make is having the feet too close to the butt. If we have a knee angle less than 90 degrees, generally what ends up happening is we end up limiting our hip thrust potential, so we can't hit true hip extension. So hit that 90-degree knee angle and pay attention to having the feet too close to the butt. When the hip thrust is used in a well-balanced program, it has a few key benefits. The first benefit is improving the glutes and the posterior for other posterior and glute and hip extension facing movements. So deadlifts, cleans, and so forth will have carryover by obviously improving our hip extension strength. Another benefit is the carryover that it can have on athletic facing movements. So things like jumping, sprinting, running, where we need a strong hip extension. If we're improving our hip extension in the hip thrust, then we can have carryover to our athletic facing movements. The final benefit is the aesthetics. So if you are trying to focus on your posterior and improve the size and shape of your glutes, the hip thrust can be a good tool to do so with. Remember, with all of these benefits, we need to have specificity and strategy behind our programming. You can't just throw a hip thrust in and expect to get really great at jumping, for example. We need to be specific and use it as a tool in addition to a well-balanced program. And that concludes this Quick Tip Friday. Drop a like, drop subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.